Hello, this is a prepaid call from an inmate at the Virginia Department of Corrections, Red Onion State Prison. To accept this call, press 0.
This is Randall Via. I'm currently serving 1,214 years for capital murder in Red Onion State Prison in the state of Virginia in the USA. This is my podcast, Red Onion Randy. I hope you enjoy listening to me today. This is Randall Via, currently serving 1,214 years for capital murder and armed robbery. Currently being housed at King Mountain Correctional Center in Oakwood, Virginia, in the USA. Welcome to my podcast, Red Onion Randy. I hope you enjoyed listening to me today. If you have any questions or comments or want to leave a message or whatever, I've got a voicemail line. That number is 1-888 524-1932. For anyone outside the continental U.S., just put a plus in front of the 1 and you're good to go. You can also visit my website, which is new and improved and got different features and whatnot, at www.redonionrandy.com. We also have some merch up there. So far, it's just a hoodie and a T-shirt with my logo and everything. You can find that link on my website. I hope you support me. You can also find me on X at Red Onion Randy. I hope you do. Let's get started with the podcast. Today, I'm going to talk about something. I mentioned briefly in an episode, on an update on my life and everything, that, I was in contact with John Sheldon again. I'm going to do a full episode on that. I'm not going to do it on this episode. I got another consultation set up with him in January, and, I want to see what he has to say, and then, I'll let everybody else know, but it has me thinking. I did the episode on Luigi Mangione. Me and my editor, we've kind of been playing around and discussing some cases in the media. You got the Deadpool killer, Wade Wilson in Florida. You've got, of course, P. Diddy in New York. And then you got Luigi Mangione also. So we've been talking about this, and I made a comment in the Luigi Mangione episode I did where, I was glad to see him getting all this support, especially money to help pay for legal representation. Because he's going to get good lawyers, The only people I really want to see in prison are your sex offenders. Because at the end of the day, I've never seen or heard of a case legitimately where a sex offender was actually rehabilitated. Every single one I've run across in prison that I see go home is back in prison with a new sex offense within 6 to 12 months. So I'm glad that boy is getting some really good lawyers, and he has the money to actually pay for these lawyers. But that's the whole thing right there. If he wouldn't have had the community support, he wouldn't have this money. He wouldn't be able to get these lawyers. So his chances of doing life in prison without parole, the death penalty, and so on and so forth is much greater. I had a public defender in my case, and I got completely and utterly screwed. You know, still to this day, I believe, to the best of my knowledge, I'm the only person that was charged with capital murder, found guilty of capital murder, who never received an appeal because my lawyer, he was too busy to fill out the paperwork, to file the appeal. He just didn't care. I'd have had a good lawyer, that wouldn't have been the case. You know, maybe I wouldn't have won the appeal. I'm not saying I would, because at the end of the day, I'm incarcerated in the state of Virginia. And they have the laws written in such a way, you're kind of screwed unless you have a lot of money. And that's wrong. Why should I be denied an appeal because I don't have the money to afford good lawyers? I can't afford to pay $500 an hour. Even if I was getting paid minimum wage in here, I couldn't afford $500 an hour lawyer, you know, which is your upper echelon lawyer. So because I'm poor, because a lot of guys in prison are poor, we're screwed. I don't know what the solution to the problem is. And I think that's what's been frustrating the crap out of me lately. How do we fix this problem? How do we make it to where, look, if a person is a criminal, if a person breaks the law, they need to do time. There's no question about that. They need to be punished for it. I'm in complete agreement. You know, now that I'm 46 years old, I don't have the same mindset and the same belief towards the law that I did when I was in my teens and my 20s. Without the law, there's so many of you who would not be alive right now. And there would be so many more whose lives were completely destroyed because someone strong-willed, strong-minded, strong physically, a leader can get people to follow them, would simply take over. You know, me and my editor were talking the other day, and we was having a discussion about the law. We was having a discussion about people saying they want all police forces to be banned. And I sit there and told them the day they do that is the day I climb the fence, and 6 months later I own the Eastern Seaboard, because I could completely take over the Eastern Seaboard if there was no law. If there was no one to stop me, I am a huge proponent of the law. I'm a huge proponent of the police, because you do not want to live in an environment where there is no law, where there is no one to regulate that law. It sounds good in theory, but it is a nightmare in practice, because I have been in some prisons where there was no law. I have been in prisons where the inmates ran that prison. Y'all don't want that on the streets. There's very few people who want that in prison. You know, a lot of people talk a good game. Now, I like being in a more violent prison. I like being in a prison where there's less cameras, because there is a lot more respect. Because if you disrespect me, you disrespect someone else, you can handle it in a way that men should. I don't believe a man should call the police because somebody whooped his ass. No, you take your ass whooping like a man, you learn from it, and if you don't like it, you can't live with it, then you go get some proper training and you do something about it. I don't run to the police in here when I have problems. You will never find one CO who can legitimately say, I came running to them for help against another inmate. Now, if I need something from laundry, like I need a new pair of boots or sheets or whatever, I'm going straight to Lieutenant Vance because he will help me out. You know, something of that nature is different. I've never gone to the police over another inmate, and I never will. So I kind of like being in the rougher, more violent prisons. But even I don't want to be in a prison to where there is no rule, where anything goes. Because it's anarchy, it's chaos, it's violence all the time. You can't keep nothing. You can't have food in yourself. Because I don't care how good a fighter you are, and I'm pretty damn good. Even though I have been retired for a long time, I still throw my hands in the cell. I still snap out a few kicks here and there. And all I've done in the years since I last fought was I've gotten stronger, I've gotten faster, and I've built my endurance up. You know, so there's a part of me that would like to just to see where I'm at. You know, just find somebody who'd be willing to do it, and you know, no charges, no complications, just mano a mano, and I see where I'm at, test my new strengths and everything out, and see where you're at the same time. But living in an environment like that, you don't want that. But I see it happening out there in the streets. As I watch the news, as I watch what's going on, I watch, people constantly arguing, people constantly on opposite sides of the spectrum. They're no longer discussing, they're no longer talking. They're just simply arguing. They're backbiting. They're making up lies. They're trying to find anything and everything, whatever accusation will stick to the wall when they throw it at them. How can somebody receive true justice? Especially if they can't afford a good lawyer. Or hell, if they can't even afford a lawyer, period, and the state has to pay for it. With this public defender who has hundreds of clients, he might spend 15 minutes a week on your case. I don't know what the answer to this is. And that's getting on my nerves. Yeah, this is a rare occurrence for me. I'm actually kind of at a loss for words here. Maybe somebody out there has an answer and can write in. Besides the obvious of don't break the law in the first place and you don't have to worry about a lawyer. I figured that one out years ago, folks. A little too late, but I did figure it out. And that's why I do the podcast. I know there's some people who think I'm doing it for a hustle. There's some people who think I'm doing it for whatever reason. No. I'm doing it to keep people like me from making the same mistakes and screwing up the way I screwed up. I can't sit here and say how I'm going to get out of prison. But my story doesn't end in here. One way or the other, my story will not end in prison. don't screw your life up the way I screwed mine. If you're out there, you're doing drugs, or you're ripping and running, you're doing dirt, you're breaking into houses or stealing cars, or, selling drugs, or, credit card fraud, or whatever the case may be, this is no way of living. You do not want this life, especially if your family can't afford the best lawyer, especially if they can't afford to pay $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, or whatever the case may be, for them to get you out of prison, or to get you just simply the least amount of time. There's so many guys in prison who could have a chance of going home if their families could afford a decent lawyer. I believe I'm one of them. And thankfully, my wife is doing everything within her power to get me a good lawyer. That's why I'm able to talk to John Sheldon. She paid for it. I had a buddy named Joseph in Wisconsin. He helped me with the first one. But what about those who don't have it? I'm happy for Luigi Mangione, there's no question about that. I just wish he wasn't the only one receiving a little bit of help. Something to think about. Maybe you have the solution. If you think you do, send it in.
You have 1 minute remaining.
I have no problem putting it on here. Trying to get it out there. Something has to give. If we want to stop all this bullshit fighting between Republicans and Democrats, liberals and conservatives, straight and gay, or whatever the case may be, we have to start setting aside our differences and start focusing on commonalities, on what we can bring to the table and how we can fix this life, how we can fix this country, how we can fix this world. Stop fighting with people who don't agree with you. And start figuring out ways of working with them. Because that's what I'm trying to do.
I appreciate you folks listening to me. Remember, if you want to leave some feedback on the show or, ask a question or whatnot, again, that number inside the continental U.S. is 1-888-524-1932. Anyone outside the U.S., just put a plus in front of the 1. Works just the same. You can also visit me, my website at redonionrandy.com or find me on X at redonionrandy. You don't have to, but if you want to, wherever you listen to my podcast, go on and give me some stars, or whatever is appropriate for that platform. I'll take whatever you can give me and be damn grateful for it. But, I'm trying to grow. I'm trying to grow the podcast. I'm trying to reach more people. I'm trying to get my voice out there to help people. The crazy thing is I actually am helping people. And in the process, I'm helping myself. So do what you can. And don't forget, I got sweatshirts, T-shirts, and maybe some other merch coming soon. You can find the link on the website, redonionrandy.com. And y'all take care and stay safe out there. Hope to hear from you soon.
Thank you for using GTL.